She like pumped up. It's kind of like
22-year-old Tom Rigelli lives in his mom's basement in New Jersey. He plays rock band, is a Yankees fan, and a serious prankster. He and his buds use a caller ID spoofing program called Spoof App to call friends and have whatever caller ID they want appear on those friends' phones when they pick up. In this case, they're calling an unsuspecting female friend and pretending to be her disillusioned ex-boyfriend.
Well, you can stay in New Brunswick tonight. I would like that.
Okay. I really don't like you trying to play me off other people. It's really not nice.
All in good fun, right? Well, in a phenomenon known as swatting, similar technology is believed to have allowed a teenager near Seattle to spoof a 911 call, pretending to hold a family hostage at a random home in Southern California, and tricking 911 dispatchers into sending a SWAT team to that home, finding a very frightened family. He was later sentenced to 3 years in jail for several felonies. The legal caller ID spoofing software is increasingly popular on mobile app stores, and like email can be used for spammers, caller ID spoofing software can be used for nefarious purposes, including hacking into voicemail.
Most cell phone providers have a feature where if you call that phone from that very same phone, you go directly into your voicemail. So what would happen if I spoofed my iPhone from my iPhone? If I called my iPhone from my BlackBerry but spoofed it so it thought it was calling itself, would I go directly into my voicemail? Well, turns out I did.
You have 2 unheard messages.
Spoofing company SpoofCard suspended the account of Paris Hilton a number of years ago after claiming she used it in just the same way I did to hack into Lindsay Lohan's voicemail. A charge Hilton denied. No charges were ever filed. More recently, former Dolce & Gabbana's PR spokesperson Allison Wise was charged with a number of felonies after using the same spoofing software to hack into the voicemails of at least one of her ex's girlfriends. Even though her lawyer indicates the case may be heading towards a settlement, the case puts the legality of caller ID spoofing software and its potential harms front and center. The technological loopholes that allow hackers into your voicemail are not new and have been around for years. But voicemail hacking is now a particular problem for iPhone users and those who have visual voicemail who may never check their actual voicemail box. The problem is some carriers don't require you to enter a password when you access your voicemail from your own phone. Some, like Verizon, do under any circumstances. But AT&T and T-Mobile set it as an option, and the default, if you don't specify otherwise, is no password. So whose job is it to fix the flaw? Spoofing companies blame mobile carriers.
The cell phone companies have to take some type of responsibility. If the customer knew that by not going that extra step, that someone can listen to their voicemails, they would go that extra step.
But the voicemail hack remains a core feature built into many of these spoofing apps. Still, that's no sweat, say some of the mobile phone companies. An AT&T representative says there's always the option to set a password, and the company is not keen to go against strong customer preferences for one-click voicemail access.
The other companies will have it by default with passcodes in front, which, obviously those customers don't complain and say, I want it off. They acclimate to the way the company works.
It may seem pretty obvious to point the finger at spoofing companies. No spoofing apps, no problem. But the companies have a score of justifications for why their products aren't just legal, but perfectly legitimate apps.
Spoofing is basically a form of speech. It's akin to lying about your identity in person.
A lot of people use this as a relationship, within relationships.
You can barack me.
And then there's one company's claim that their app is appropriate for would-be sleuths, like Obama girl Amber Lee Edinger, who's hoping to one day use it to bust a potentially cheating boyfriend.
Said they're not answering their phone for hours at a time, and you're kind of wondering, well, where are they? And they don't answer your call. You could change your number and see if they answer someone else's call, and then I feel like that alone is your answer. Like, why aren't you answering my call, but you're going to answer so-and-so's call? Gotcha.
The lack of movement by phone companies hasn't stopped lawmakers from trying to get into the act. But there, too, the wheels are grinding slowly, and the efforts to regulate are not without controversy. While some states have passed laws outlawing caller ID spoofing, legislation is currently pending in the U.S. Senate that would ban use of caller ID spoofing with the intent to commit a crime. A broader House version passed last December.
For the past 2 weeks, my man said he had to work late. But every time I called him, it went straight to voicemail. And I know there's no meetings at 9 o'clock at night.
For those who have been spoofed or feel the ID hiding software has wronged them, they don't care about semantics or legal niceties. They're just plain angry and frustrated.
So you're the that are responsible for all these telemarketers that hide their caller ID. How do I prevent morons using your service from calling me? You guys are so I'm going to figure out a way to over.
In fact, one security expert estimates about 3/4 of the spoofing cases he sees involve abuse of the technology. Still, spoofing companies defend the product and are actively trying to shift the way consumers see it and use it.
The caller ID was never intended to be a verification tool.
But it's still used that way by banks authenticating new credit cards, for instance. Spoofing companies say they're creating blacklists to red flag improper use and remind would-be criminals to back off.
I think a lot of the users do not understand how much data is being collected.
There are an awful lot of people who believe that if they use caller ID spoofing, somehow there is no call record and it can't be traced. That's not the case.